It was supposed to be a routine checkup. But when 63-year-old Larry sat across from Dr. Howard, something in his eyes looked different. He looked tired, but not the kind of tired a night's sleep could fix. He quietly confessed, "Doc, I feel drained every morning, like my body's been through a marathon, but I barely left the bed." Dr. Howard raised an eyebrow. So he asked the question most doctors skip. "Tell me about your mornings. What's the first thing you do when you wake up?" Larry hesitated. Then he admitted it. "I've been taking care of myself. Every single morning. For years." He said it casually, as if it were just another morning stretch or cup of coffee. But Dr. Howard leaned forward, suddenly serious. "What if I told you," he said, "that this one habit, done daily after 60, could be accelerating aging in the areas you least expect?" Larry chuckled, unsure if this was a joke. But the doctor wasn't smiling. Because what Larry didn't know is that thousands of men over 60 are doing the exact same thing. And it's quietly sabotaging their energy, their mental clarity, and even the delicate blood flow needed for proper male performance. Not immediately, but slowly, silently, like rust on metal. Larry thought he was staying active. But what he was actually doing was draining vital nutrients, depleting his body's recovery systems, and, according to Dr. Howard, putting unnecessary stress on one of the most sensitive parts of the male nervous system. And that part? It's the one most men don't talk about, but think about every day. That morning, Larry's eyes changed. Because it wasn't just about solo time. It was about everything it was silently costing him. Energy, vitality, and a sense of strength he thought was just part of getting old. Dr. Howard knew better. And as he started to explain what was really going on inside Larry's body, Larry leaned in. Because what he heard next shocked him to the core. Dr. Howard pulled up a diagram of the male nervous system. He pointed to the pelvic plexus, a complex nerve center that controls blood flow, muscle function, and sensitivity in the lower body. "This isn't just about pleasure," he told Larry. "It's about energy balance. See, when you're under 30, the body is like a rechargeable battery. You can push it, stress it, and still bounce back. But after 60? The battery doesn't charge the same way. Every release, especially one that happens daily, costs the body more than most men realize. It's not just fatigue afterward. It's your testosterone slowly dipping, your circulation getting weaker. And over time, even your blood pressure becomes less stable in the morning." Larry's eyes widened. He thought he was doing something healthy. He thought staying regular was the key to keeping everything in working order. But Dr. Howard said something that made his stomach drop. "There's a reason I'm seeing more men with phantom fatigue and unexplained weakness, especially down there." He didn't have to say the word. Larry knew what down there meant. That sense of fullness, vitality, and control was slipping. And no vitamin, no supplement was fixing it. Why? Because the root of the problem wasn't in what he was missing, it was in what he was overdoing. That's when Dr. Howard handed Larry a small printout. It showed a list of symptoms related to daily overstimulation after age 60. Reduced morning energy, lower back tightness, less control over urinary flow, numbness or tingling after sitting, and slower recovery after physical activity. Larry paused at the fourth one. "I thought that was just age," he said quietly. Dr. Howard shook his head. "It's not age. It's stress to the nervous system. And that nervous system? It's deeply tied to male health, both in function and identity." Larry leaned back in his chair. Because suddenly, a habit he'd never questioned was becoming the center of a much bigger problem. And what the doctor said next would change the way Larry thought about his body and his mornings forever. "You see, Larry," Dr. Howard said as he reached for a new chart, "men over 60 aren't just fighting aging, they're fighting silent inflammation in their blood vessels." Larry blinked. He'd never heard anyone link solo time with his circulation before. But what the doctor showed next made his jaw tighten. When you engage in that activity daily, especially in the morning on an empty stomach or before hydration, it activates your sympathetic nervous system. That's your fight or flight mode. And that repeated stimulation, without balance, can constrict your blood vessels. Now Larry understood why his hands felt colder, why his legs got numb when he sat too long, and why some mornings it felt harder to get going. Dr. Howard circled the iliac arteries on the chart, the major blood highways to the lower abdomen and reproductive area. These vessels are like garden hoses. If they're compressed too often, the pressure builds. And that pressure can starve tissues of oxygen. That included muscles in the legs, the pelvic floor, even the tissue responsible for maintaining healthy male function. Larry shifted uncomfortably in his chair. He had noticed a difference. Less stamina, longer time to recover. But he thought it was just from age. It's not just age, the doctor repeated again. It's daily stimulation without proper recovery. Then came the part Larry didn't expect. Over time, Dr. Howard said, that can lead to micro tears, chronic tension, and inflammation near the pudendal nerve, the nerve that governs sensation and function in the male region. And many men who overdo it start experiencing something they don't talk about. Less sensation, more difficulty staying firm, and a strange ache that doesn't go away. Larry nodded slowly. He thought he was the only one. But the doctor assured him, he sees this every week in his over 60 patients. And most of them say the same thing. I wish I knew this earlier. Because when the problem starts, it doesn't shout. It whispers. A dullness. A fatigue. A morning where things don't feel quite right. And unless it's addressed, the damage can become long-term. This wasn't about shame. It wasn't about stopping something natural. It was about understanding that after 60, even good things can turn harmful, if done without rhythm, recovery, or awareness. Larry felt a chill run down his spine, because no one had ever told him this before. And in that moment, he realized his morning habit might be costing him far more than he ever imagined. Dr. Howard walked over to the cabinet and pulled out a bottle of zinc. He held it up like it was gold. You see this? He said. This little mineral plays a much bigger role in your daily function than most men realize. Zinc is crucial for testosterone balance, yes. But more importantly, it protects the nerves and pathways that control sensitivity and performance in the male pelvic region. When you stimulate those nerves too often, without replenishing minerals like zinc and magnesium, you're draining your reserves. And once those nerves get tired or undernourished, guess what happens? You might start feeling less responsive. Or worse, a strange, tingling numbness that many men just ignore until it becomes permanent. Larry swallowed hard. He had felt that before. Like the signal from his brain to, down there, was getting weaker. Dr. Howard explained it clearly. The nerve that controls that region, he said, relies on clean blood flow and strong electrical signaling. And overdoing solo activity, especially when paired with poor diet or alcohol, weakens both. It's like burning through a phone battery over and over again, without letting it charge fully. And when that battery is your autonomic nerve line, things start to short circuit. Especially after 60. Because recovery takes longer. Nutrients absorb slower. And that little morning habit? It may be stealing energy your body needs for digestion, clarity, and joint repair. Most guys think it's harmless, the doctor added. But for a man in his 60s, it could be like running your car engine every morning on an empty tank. And that wears out the most sensitive gears. Larry looked down. For the first time, he realized that his morning routine wasn't just a way to pass time. It could actually be slowing his brain, tiring his heart, and damaging the very signal chain that makes him feel like a man. This was deeper than just pleasure. It was about longevity. And keeping the spark alive, not just now, but 10 years from now. That night, after the appointment, Larry stood in his kitchen, staring at a jar of turmeric. He had heard about it for years, but never thought it had anything to do with that part of the body. Dr. Howard's words echoed in his mind. Inflammation is the silent thief of male vitality. And turmeric, when taken with black pepper, is one of the simplest natural ways to fight back. Not just inflammation in the joints or heart, but in the tiny blood vessels around the pelvic region that controls sensitivity, stamina, and even desire. When those vessels are inflamed, blood flow weakens. And when blood flow weakens, response slows. Larry grabbed the turmeric, some oatmeal, added a pinch of black pepper and cinnamon, and stirred it in. The doctor had told him, "Make this part of your morning ritual. Because natural remedies don't work overnight. They rebuild you slowly, cell by cell." Larry thought of how many years he wasted chasing synthetic shortcuts. Caffeine, pills, and more solo habits than he was proud of. But no one had ever told him what to add, only what to fear. This was different. It was empowering. Instead of numbing symptoms, he was nourishing the system itself. As he ate, he felt like he was doing something ancient, something his grandfather might have done without even realizing it. And for the first time, he started to wonder, what else is hiding in my kitchen that could actually help me feel like myself again? The answer would surprise him. Larry sat at his kitchen table the next morning, staring at a small glass of water with a strange fizz. No, it wasn't a fancy supplement, or a pricey vitamin drink. It was baking soda, just half a teaspoon dissolved in warm water. Dr. Howard had mentioned it casually during the visit. Most men over 60 are walking around with a system that's too acidic. And that acid buildup? It's like rust in your blood vessels. Larry didn't get it at first. But the doctor explained, acidity can quietly reduce oxygen flow, disrupt circulation, and yes, even dull function in sensitive male areas. Too much solo activity, combined with a diet full of processed food and coffee, only makes it worse. That's when the real damage starts. Reduced nitric oxide levels, sluggish blood flow, and slower recovery. Baking soda, Dr. Howard said, was nature's cheapest alkalizer. Not a miracle cure, but a step toward balance. Larry took a sip. It didn't taste great, but he knew what was at stake. He remembered the doctor's words. If you want your body to perform, you've got to treat it like a system. And that system runs best when it's clean on the inside. Larry never thought something so simple could affect something so personal. But it wasn't about the soda. It was about the small, consistent things that restore the body's rhythm. The kind of rhythm that makes mornings feel like they used to. And what came next would connect the dots, and shock him even more. Most men wake up and reach straight for their phones. But what Dr. Howard explained next almost made Larry drop his cup. He said, "What you do in the first 30 minutes after waking can completely hijack your testosterone levels for the day. You see, the male body is wired to produce its peak testosterone early in the morning. It's part of the body's natural rhythm, preparing you for energy, motivation, even desire. But when you roll over and immediately scroll through news, emails, or worse, graphic content, you're training your brain to short-circuit its own chemistry." Dr. Howard called it digital hijack. Your cortisol spikes, your dopamine gets an unnatural hit, and your body responds by dulling its own testosterone release. That might not sound dramatic, until you realize this impacts muscle recovery, energy, and blood flow to key regions. Yes, including that region, the one most men prefer not to talk about. Larry was stunned. He thought a few minutes of scrolling didn't matter. But it wasn't about the scrolling, it was about the chemical signal it sent. The doctor suggested this instead. Start your day with 10 ounces of warm water, sunlight on your skin, and one deep breath. And if you must use your phone, use it for something that calms and centers you, not something that arouses or agitates. Larry tried it. And within days, he noticed something strange. He woke up ready, not just mentally, but physically. It wasn't magic. It was simply giving his hormones the respect they needed. And that's when Dr. Howard revealed the final warning. The one habit nearly every man over 60 does. And it's slowly destroying his most vital function. Dr. Howard looked Larry in the eyes and said something he never forgot. It's not about whether you do it, It's about when and how you do it. You see, for most men over 60, daily solo time, what some call me time, has become a habit done right after waking up. Before breakfast. Before water. Before movement. And that's where the danger starts. Because when you stimulate your nervous system too early, and especially when the body is not properly hydrated or oxygenated, your blood vessels aren't ready. That means less oxygen gets where it needs to go, yes, including the reproductive area, and the pressure can build in unsafe ways. Dr. Howard had seen cases where men experienced sharp drops in blood pressure, headaches, even faintness, all from overdoing it at the wrong time. Worse, some of these men also reported increasing fatigue and lack of interest in intimacy over time. Why? Because their bodies were getting the wrong message day after day. Instead of waking your body up slowly, you're slamming it into overdrive without fuel, the doctor said. And just like an old car engine, too many cold starts wear things out faster. Larry nodded slowly. He had never thought that something so private, so normal, could actually be hurting him. But that was the moment things clicked. He changed his morning routine. Water first. Stretching second. And when the urge came, he waited until after a full breakfast and a short walk, when his body was fully awake, blood was flowing, and his hormones had stabilized. And guess what? His energy returned. His clarity sharpened. And something else happened too, something he didn't expect. He felt more in control. More like himself. Gentlemen, if you're over 60, remember this. It's not about shame. It's about timing, and respecting what your body truly needs. And if this story helped you or someone you love, don't forget to subscribe. Because next week, we're revealing the 3 morning foods that secretly lower testosterone. And you'll never guess what number 1 is.